At the mansion house where the Mitch brothers lived, Tess Mitch was sitting in the living room, not wearing any shoes but in his socks and clothing, trying to map out the latest victims of Ghostface, dating back to 8 months before, in which his sister Timmy Mitch committed suicide, and then Corrine Jacobs, who was killed inside a refrigerator, and then Kelly Taylor, who was killed on a school bus trip to a museum. Tess flicked his pencil up and down on the table, trying to figure out who could be doing it and who's next. And then wrote down Kevin Mitch on the paper, realizing that there was 4 people that had been killed by Ghostface. 3 that had been killed by Ghostface and 1 suicide. Colin looked outside the window into the snowy glazed area, in which there was snow outside, unexceptionally in the month of August. The snow was wintry cold as Brad entered the room in a snow blast entered the room. James entered along with Brad, and they closed the door behind him, unlocked the front door. James went and sat next to Tess Mitch, and Tess Mitch responds to James, "Bro, do you know what's going on here? I noticed that pattern." James, "What pattern?" Tess responds, "Secondly, it seems like all the people that were there at the Christmas party are getting killed." Colin continues to stare out the window. Brad sat next to Colin in a stool chair, and Colin responds to Brad, "Who could be doing this, brother?" Brad responds, "Who knows? But the outcome is hysterical to the point where I can't guess who it is." "Brad!" Tess Mitch caught Brad's attention, and Brad stood up from his stool. "What up, bro?" is Brad's response. Tess Mitch responds, "Come here. But leave Colin there." "Nah, bro, bring Colin with you." Colin stood up nervously and walked with Brad to Tess and James, and sat on the couch in front of Tess and James. Tess showed to Colin the list of victims that have been killed, and Colin responds, "Dude, those are all the people from the party last year." Tess responds, "Precisely. It is a certain order. Whoever is killing these victims is going in a certain order. All connected to the Christmas party last year in which our sister committed suicide. Do you think we can figure out who the next victim is if we can find a pattern? I mean, there has to be a pattern. There has to be an order to which Ghostface is killing them in." Brad snapped his fingers. "Dude, Arlena Tellman is seeming kind of sketchy lately. And Nisha, she ran out on us, if you remember properly." James slammed his hand on the couch. "What?" Responds, "What? What do you mean, Nisha? Nisha Raines? There's no way how she can be the killer. It's just not possible. She seems to be broken or hurt, but Colin cuts James off. She hadn't been seen since the incident." James responds, "Or maybe she's dead, and her body parts are knocked in the next reel somewhere." What do you think is going to happen? Tess responds, bro, they haven't found her body yet. Besides, last time I checked, she was home. She never came out of the house. Or in a psychiatric hospital, more likely. James pulls out a picture of his back pocket and throws it on the table. Does that guy look familiar? Brad picks up the picture, hands it to Colden. Colden hands it to Tess, and Tess noticed the man in the picture. Stephen Taylor. James responds, Woom did nothing revolving the incident.